Right, this could be the last drive of my ID.3. And what I'm going to do is just take a few minutes to talk about what's good and what's bad about ID.3 ownership. It was always thought of as being the kind of replacement for the Volkswagen Golf. I suppose in a lot of respects that's the easiest way to think of it. The practicality of the car, the hardware and the software are all the kind of different things that are worth sort of thinking about. From a practical point of view, the ID.3 is very similar to the Golf, except it's a bit bigger. More space, more economy because it's electric, although I should say it's not the most economical electric car that you can buy. Very comfortable, the armrests and the seating position, the driving position, the visibility, all the things that kind of really dictate what it feels like to drive the car are really, really good. Things like the reversing camera and the parking sensors really are some of the best that I've ever tried. Actually, you can see better at night using the reversing camera than you can actually looking out the back window, which is quite staggering really compared to most of the reversing camera setups, which are almost next to useless when it gets dark. Another thing about the dark is when you turn on the headlights, this particular model's got matrix headlights on, which first of all they're exceptionally bright and really do light up your way, but if a car comes in the opposite direction, you've got main beam on, they actually cut out a little hole in the beam so that you don't dazzle the driver coming the other way, which really is pretty clever. I suppose finally on practicality, things like the tow bar, which you can install on ID.3, you can't actually tow anything with it, but you can put bike racks and extra storage boxes on the back of the car for greater load capacity. The glass roof, like on this model, this is a family model, which really is nice. It has a sunscreen as well, so you can close it over if the sun's too much. Those sorts of things make it a nice car. I suppose concentrating more on the hardware, some of the oddities of the car would be things like when you get in the car, you open the door if it's raining, and invariably some drips of rain land straight on the seat, so you start off your drive with a bit of a wet seat. Things like the LED for the immobiliser alarm system, which it looks like it's come straight out of the 1980s, is a bit strange. The touchscreen, not having hardware buttons for the control of this car can be really annoying. If you just want to turn up the air conditioning, you've got to go into climate control, you've got to turn it on, you've then got to press the buttons that you want for that climate control, whatever it is that you want to do. All of that is on the centre console on the screen, and it takes some looking at, and you're looking away at that point from where you're driving, which I think really could be dangerous in some instances. The other thing that's really strange is touch sensitive controls on the steering wheel and just underneath the touchscreen. So if you're going to have to use the touchscreen to control the car, the nearest surface that you're going to ledge your hand on to touch the touchscreen is actually touch controls as well. So you can end up either turning the volume up or changing the heating temperature inadvertently whilst you're trying to operate other controls. Likewise, sometimes you can just touch on the steering wheel and find that what it actually does is it will change the control, it might increase the speed on your cruise control or any number of other things. But the cruise control itself is very good, really, really good. It actually works off GPS coordinates and a combination of sign recognition for the roads. And we've just passed into a 70 zone, and the intelligent cruise control has just automatically increased its speed. The windscreen wipers on this car are actually for a left-hand drive, so actually predominantly the screen is cleared for the passenger side rather than the driver's side, which can be quite infuriating when you're driving. Controls for the headlights are kind of obscured by various things like the steering wheel and other screens, so that's not particularly helpful. And the glove box is tiny, absolutely minuscule, because the fuse box is still on the left-hand side, which is where it would be in a left-hand drive vehicle. And so rather than redesigning that for the right-hand drive vehicle, they've just reduced the size of the glove box, which can be a real pain. So we're just slowing down for the roundabout, all being done through intelligent cruise control. There is another kind of hardware feature, which is the regenerative braking, which is ever so simple to engage on this car. And unlike most of its competitors, you can actually totally turn off regenerative braking, which can be quite a bonus for economy, believe it or not. CarPlay is a wonderful thing. Wireless phone charging, which is available, is great. The only problem is wireless CarPlay has intermittent dropout on it. But I suppose the thing that really is the crux of this car is the software. And so the software and the way that Volkswagen has approached it has been really kind of a bit of a faux pas. When you first get into the car, if you choose not to use the onboard satellite navigation, 1/3 of the display is completely blank, which seems like very poor design to me. The menus and the navigation in the actual Volkswagen software is not very good. Lots and lots and lots of features that have been promised don't actually work on the car. So things like scheduled timing for your charging, that doesn't work properly. Things like compatibility with smart chargers. So some of the smart chargers like the My Energy Zappi, which I happen to have, when you want to charge this car from your solar power that you can collect with a Zappi charger and put it into your vehicle as it fluctuates the output of your solar panels throughout the day, actually the ID.3 will only do that for around about I think it's 9 cycles, and then it will shut down and it won't let it charge anymore. So it partially works, but it doesn't work like many of the other manufacturers. The other thing really is the software updates. If you think about an ID.3 and you think you're getting a polished version of the vehicle with the kind of refinement of a Tesla where the software just remotely updates, on the ID.3 it's not like that. Most of the software updates have been really painful. They require multiple updates, they require input from the driver, they don't allow you to drive while they're updating. Some of them have only worked at certain times of the day. The upshot of the kind of over-the-air updates, as Volkswagen like to call it, is that currently you still can't do that properly, even though it's been promised in the past. And what that means is that the next update, which it's at the time of recording this video, it's May 2022, the next update is going to require all ID.3 owners to take their vehicles back to Volkswagen main dealers to have not only a hardware update, but 2 software updates to allow future over-the-air software modification by Volkswagen. A lesson learned here is don't buy a vehicle on the promise of features that will be coming soon, because in the year of ownership I've had this, none of the features that have been promised have come, hence now why I'm thinking about selling it. In fact, I'm selling it. The frustrations though of the multiple things that don't work, like app access, connection to the internet continually dropping out, the variety of features for remotely heating the car or setting charging going, some of those things were actually better on the 5-year-old e-Golf, which I used to have, which would allow you to pick whether you heat the windscreen or heat the seats and get things on your smartwatch. Much of that stuff does not work and is actually withheld from the user on the ID.3 software. So in retrospect, if you're expecting the future of electric cars by buying an ID.3, you won't be getting it. Many of those digital services don't work and are very unreliable. If you want an electric car which is very comfortable to drive, on a par with many of the other vehicles in its sort of class, go down a bit, just be prepared for lots and lots and lots of software and quirky interactivity problems that are really caused by trying to do too much of the car, which hasn't been finished, and still, despite shipping the car, are a long way off being finished. So the car is persistently making this reversing sound. With that in mind, I'll say goodbye to the ID.3, and there'll be an update in the future of what I'm moving to. I think some people would be surprised when they realise the killer feature of the new vehicle. They maybe not surprised so much. I hope this has been helpful. I hope it lets people know what's good and what's bad about an ID.3. Just because I'm selling mine doesn't mean it's not right for everybody. But if you get the chance, please like the video, or if you haven't already, subscribe, and I'll see you in a future video.